Welcome to Theater Crafts, where we take theater memorabilia and make brand new treasures. So I'm sure you have a bunch of playbills hanging around, maybe brochures. I know I always have these travel brochures for Broadway tour companies. So I decided to take those today, and we're going to take the images out of those and we're going to create bookmarks. So you see here, we've got bookmarks that include different images from shows. These were all taken right out of programs and from brochures. So if you're reading a play, you've got to bookmark your script. I've got you covered today. So let's go ahead and get crafting. So let's take a closer look at the bookmarks that I have here as examples. So if you notice here, like these are actually stickers that I have from a package of, here's the package here, package of different stickers from different musicals. And so I took these and I put them on the cardboard, and I just took a piece of paper, scrapbooking paper that I had. And so I just like the colors of those, went really well together. These were images from a brochure that I got from a local theater, and I just put them together and just stitched in between. And again, just a piece of scrapbooking paper as the base there. Here, this was a catalog that I had gotten in the mail that had these tiny little posters on the side. And then this was a playbill that I had from a show that I had seen. And then just a Broadway, this was from a catalog, and it had Broadway, and I just cut the Broadway out and put that on the back. And again, scrapbooking paper that I had. And this one was right out of Playbills. I just cut the images and just stuck them on there, and again, scrapbooking paper. And then this one was, again, right out of a playbill. I just took the image that you would find inside a playbill for the advertisement for Lion King and put that together. Now, if you notice on these, I have stitching around the edges. I did that on all of them. On some of them, I actually did stitching in between the different images from the shows, just for a decorative effect. And then obviously I added on the top, I added some ribbon for the, just for the bookmark to seem complete. All right, so these are the ones that I have. I'm going to show you materials next. So for this, you need to start with your image. Here's the image that I'm going to use. This was, you can see, this is how long I've had this. Was fall 2014, a catalog to Broadway. And I just thought these images would look so cool on a bookmark. So now if you notice that it's not quite wide enough for the bookmark that I'm going to make. So I'm going to use, this is just a piece of scrapbooking paper. You can see I've already used some of it. And I'm going to use that as the background, and you'll see that in a moment. Now, this is the base that I used for my bookmarks. I just cut this out of, this is old chipboard. This is actually right out of my cat's food container. So this is, just under 2 inches wide, and let's see, like 6.5 inches long. You can make them as, whatever size you want. I rounded the edges. I literally just cut it out of the cardboard. You can use a hole punch to punch the hole, and you'll see we'll do that several times during the course of this. So you've got your design. You're going to need, obviously, your scissors, your hole punch. I used a weeding tool for when I was using the adhesive, like the contact paper. This is just a clear matte contact paper that I put over the top. You'll see right on the top there, just to protect it. I cut them into smaller strips just to make it easier. So I've got those, 2 of those. I used just anything to kind of burnish your contact paper down. I used a little bit of just kind of adhesive for putting the images onto the cardboard. And then I used just some ink just to ink the edges, and you'll see, like look at, I don't know if you can really tell, I've inked the edges on these. You can see it on the back there. Part of that is just to give it a little bit of dimension, but it also helps to cover the edge where you've got the different layers of paper coming together. And then the last thing is just a piece of ribbon, so you can tie that at the top. All right, let me clear the space and we'll get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the contact paper on the cardstock here. You can use, for the cardstock, you can use just about anything. You could use even like a cereal box, an old cereal box. It's not going to be seen, so anything would work. So I'm just going to take my glue. Now, this is literally just to get it to stick on there. We're going to sew it anyway, so there's no need to worry about it being fully adhered. So I'm just going to glue that down, and then I'm going to cut that out. You could use a glue stick. You could use double-sided tape, whatever you've got in your stash. And cutting the cardboard here out, you could use a Cricut if you have a Cricut. That's certainly something that would be easy to use. But you can cut it out by hand, and rounding the corners, you can just round them like with scissors, like I am right now, or you might have one of those paper cutting tools that rounds corners. That would work too, whatever you've got. And you don't have to round the corners. You could make them square if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to cut the hole in here just so that we have that clear. All right, there's the base right there. Okay, so now we're going to pick our images on here. And I'm going to do this side first because I want to sew it. And if you notice, like for example, on this one here, I did sewing on the front of it, but you don't see the sewing on the back. It's because I sewed it first before adding the back sheet on there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to cut out just a section of this. I don't want to waste it, so because it's pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to cut out. To make sure I get a good background there, and I'm just gonna kind of rough cut it right here, and then I'm going to cut out this part here. All right, so I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back of this, and it's really just to hold it in place. You're not really securing it down so tightly that it so it won't come off. You just want to get it down there. All right, now I'm going to trim the back. There we go. All right, so now I'm actually going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew along the two edges here, and that's just to get it secured. So if you notice, like on the Sound of Music here, I sewed in between here, and you could do a straight stitch, you could do any kind of stitch, you could do it by hand if you wanted. It's totally up to you. I ended up doing kind of a couple of different stitches, like this one's a zigzag stitch. It's a little bit of a different stitch, depends on your machine. And so I'm going to go up and I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. So here it is. You see I sewed along just the where the two different papers come together. And I feel like it gives it a little bit of a finished look there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to do the back. And we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did for the front there. So I'm going to just add a little bit of the glue. I'm going to place this down, press that down just to get it a little bit secure and cut that out. Okay, and I'm going to cut, you see where the hole is, I'm going to cut that out as well at this point, just to make sure that we've got that hole all set. Let's get that, so now we've got the back set. Now this is, it's you know, fairly sturdy because we've got the 3 different layers on it. So now we're going to take the ink, just going to ink up the edges a little bit. And like I said, just to give it a little bit of dimension. I've got blue ink here. You can put whatever you want. I used brown on some of the others, but it gives it dimension, and it's going to cover up that the layers there, so it looks a little bit more finished. Now we are going to sew it, but you want to just kind of give it a little bit of dimension too. And like I said, you can use any color. I use blue only because I have blue in the back of this, and I just thought that went really well with the different colors on these posters. Okay, like that. I'm also going to do the back just to give that a little bit of dimension as well. There we go. All right. This is a quick project. I'm loving this. So next we're going to put in the contact paper. So I've cut them in strips just to make it easier. And I found that sometimes getting the backing off is a little tricky. So I use my weeding tool for my Cricut, and I just kind of pull it so that the backing comes off pretty easily. And what I've done here is I'm going to peel a little bit of it off and kind of space it. Now you want to have a fair amount of the contact paper on the sides, and I'll show you that in a moment. I'm going to pull this down. All right. And don't worry about it being uneven. We're going to fix that. All right, and I'm just kind of smoothing that out. And then I'm going to pull this up. All right. And like I said, don't worry about it being uneven. It's going to be fine when we're done. All right, now we're going to do the other side. Same song, second verse. Okay. I'm going to put that there and just pull it down slowly, and that way you won't get any bubbles. Makes it a lot easier. All right, and I'm going to really kind of push that in. And this is where I'm going to use my Cricut tool just to make sure that we've got that kind of adhered right up next to the bookmark. We want to make sure that we've got that secure. We are going to sew it, but you know, you could do it without sewing it, honestly. You could also sew it by hand if you don't have a sewing machine, but you don't have to sew it. I actually like the look of it. I just feel like it gives it a finished look. So now we're going to cut this. Now you do want, now we've got probably about as much that is there, maybe like 1/4 of an inch or so. You want to give it a little bit of room because you are going to sew it, and it tends to, if you cut it too close, to come apart. And so you want to really make sure that you've got that just extra space on the side to sew. All right, it's really easy to cut, as you can see. There we go. I'm going to take the hole punch and we're going to punch out the hole in the top there. Okay, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it back to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to sew right around the edge. Just so you know, I started at the top, mostly because that's going to be hidden by the ribbon. So I'm going to send that, and we're going to, I'll be right back. So here it is. Here you see I have stitched just a regular zigzag stitch all the way around the edges here. You can see on the back there, and it catches not only the contact paper, but it's catching the paper as well underneath it, and that way it makes it nice and secure. Now the last thing to do is just going to take the I have a really thin ribbon here. You could use yarn, you could use tassels. Just taking both pieces, putting it through, and then pulling it through the hole right there. There we go. And then you could decorate this anyway. You could add jewels to it. I decided I wanted to keep them flat because after all, they are bookmarks. I don't want them to ruin pages of the books that I'm planning to use them in. And here we go. Look at those. How fun are they? You could decorate. You could do the back with designs as well, or you could keep them plain. There we are. I hope you like these, and I hope you give them a try. You could certainly use book pages. You could use any music. We got Shakespeare's birthday. You could come up, and do a Shakespeare themed. There's so many possibilities. So I hope you give these a try, and please share your pictures with me. I love to see them. So thank you for joining me for this week's Theater Craft, and I will see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.